Good morning everyone, and welcome back to Trev's Travels Cooking on a Narrowboat. Yes, I'm back in the galley today and I'm making one of my favourite soups. You possibly know that I'm not a big fan of soups, particularly myself, but I do enjoy this one. And this is all the ingredients that go into it. We don't need all those ingredients, but it's the ones I've chosen to put into it, and you can change it around. I am making mulligatawny soup. I will put a list of all the ingredients down the side so you can see what I've put into it, but you can change a lot of them around. I've gone for what I consider would have been probably the more original recipe, using lentils rather than rice. And I certainly haven't put celery in it, which a lot of the American recipes put into it, because I'm pretty sure celery would never have gone into it originally. This soup originates from southern India, and it's reckoned that it came around when the British were in India, because a lot of the British that were in the big houses in India at the time, running the place, insisted on having meals like they had back home. Having their 4 or 5 course dinners, and one of the courses they insisted on was soup. So it's reckoned that this mulligatawny soup came about by the Indian chefs to make something that the British would eat. And it's mildly spiced. It does have curry powder in it, and the curry powder I actually made myself. I take whole spices in and I ground them all up to make my own curry powder. Anyway, without further ado, I think we should get cooking. Oh, there's just one other thing to add to this. I accidentally recorded the start of this video in time warp, as it's called on my camera, or time lapse as we would probably know it all. I'll put it in just to show you the start of it, but basically all I've done is I've got out my red cast iron pan. I've added a little olive oil and a knob of butter to fry things off with, to start off with. Anyway, let's get to it. Right, I have the onions in there now, and I'm just going to saute those off. So we'll give them a little bit of colour. Start to sweeten them up a little bit. I'm now going to add the chicken, because we want to make sure the chicken's cooked right through. Chicken is completely optional. You could keep this completely vegetarian. And if you use vegetable ghee, it would be vegan. Let that brown off. The chicken now is starting to brown off and the onions have softened. I'm going to add the garlic. I didn't add it before because I don't want to burn the garlic, but I do want to cook it through. So in goes my garlic. We can now stir in. Give that a few seconds just to cook off a little bit. I don't want raw garlic, as I say, but I do want it. I don't want it burnt either. Nothing worse than burnt garlic. Now I'm going to add the other spices, which is salt, pepper, turmeric, and curry powder. I actually make my own curry powder. It was made with my chilies. That's why it's a little spicy. So mix that in. So we want to cook off those spices a little bit so they release their flavours properly. That's why we're adding them now and not later. Oh, the smell of that is absolutely wonderful. So that's the spices fried off a little bit. Now we're going to add the apple, potatoes and sweet potato. It's not sweet potato, of course. It was butternut squash. Carrots and my beans. I'm going to give that all a good mix in. I diced all the vegetables up to about a 1 centimetre cube. Now most lentils you have to cook without salt, but the red split lentils, because they're so small, they cook with salt, so the salt being in the dish really doesn't matter. So I'm now going to add those. I'm also going to add some water. I boiled the kettle just now. And mix all that in. And as always, I'm not a vegetarian, as you know. Well, I put chicken in it. And also add a chicken OXO cube. You can use vegetable stock for this instead of the water and the OXO cube. I just don't have any stock to hand, so I'm going to just crumble in a chicken OXO cube. And these still aren't very crumbly, these chicken ones. I'll break it up into pieces and it will dissolve into the liquid quite quickly. It's quite soft. I'll give that a stir in. I'm going to add a little bit more water because it's not enough. It's all guesswork with me, as you know. Measuring quantities are not my thing. It's why I'm a terrible baker. I hate measuring things. I'm going to put the lid on that. I'm going to let that simmer now for about 15 minutes and we'll come back to it. It's been 15-16 minutes now. It's looking and smelling rather delicious. I'm just going to test the lentils. I've turned to mash, which is what you want, so it thickens the soup. As I say, the small red lentils you can cook with actually salt in there. If you're going to cook any other lentils or anything similar, never add the salt first, or they will never cook through properly, like beans or whatever, pinto beans or anything like that. Never add the salt until they've cooked, otherwise they stay very, very hard. But these small red split lentils doesn't seem to make any difference to. Now I'm going to add my shredded cabbage. I'm just adding all these different vegetables to it, just to really to make it a more nourishing dish. It's got everything in there now. You've got root vegetables, you've got above ground vegetables, you've got protein from the chicken, you've got the starches from the potatoes and everything, you've got the lentils for fibre, and of course all the vegetables. Now we're just going to let that cabbage cook in there for a couple of minutes, and well, you can serve it exactly as it is. You don't need to blend this. You can serve it as a chunky soup like this, or you can blend it down. Let's blend it down a little bit. I'm going to leave it a little bit coarse though as we blend it. I've just cooked that cabbage down now for 2 or 3 minutes. Let's take the lid off. Cabbage is cooked in now. I'm just going to taste it a little bit for seasoning and see if it needs any more salt. So here we go. I'm going to taste it for seasoning. Well, I am going to add just a touch of salt. It doesn't really need much. A couple of grinds. Stir that in. hot so the salt will dissolve very quickly. Taste again. I did wash the spoon in between. Nothing really matters. I'm the only person eating it. That is good. So we're going to turn it off now, let it cool a little bit. Then I'm going to get my stick blender out and give it a bit of a blend. I'm not going to make it into a really smooth paste. I want to keep a few bits in there. So we'll come back to it again in a few moments. Well, I've made the executive decision not to blend it down. I actually like the texture of the way it is at the moment. I think that's absolutely perfect. The lentils are broken down in there and made it quite sort of a creamy mix there. I actually like my soups chunky. So I'm going to dish some up into my bowl. It is lunchtime, so this is going to be my lunch today. So there we have it. I've just garnished it with a couple of coriander leaves. Now to get a spoon and try it. One soup spoon. If I say so myself, that is delicious. Good, warming, hearty soup. Just for that curry flavour coming through. It's not overpowering, it's not super strong. Oh, that is really, really good. As you may have noticed, I put the silly hat on today. This will probably be my last cooking video before Christmas. I've got quite a few things to do next week and probably won't have time to put a cooking video together. So, I want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas from Trev's Kitchen, where the food keeps coming. You could serve that with your Christmas lunch. You probably wouldn't, but you could. It's delicious. Well, that brings me to the end of this video. If you want to try it, it takes quite a while to prep all the vegetables. But it's very simple. There's nothing difficult in it at all. And the prep time, well, the taste is absolutely fantastic. I thought last week's soup was good. This week's soup is phenomenal. So don't forget, if you'd like to help me out, buy me a coffee. Click on the PayPal link. If you really want to help me out, click on the Patreon link or become a member. Help me buy the ingredients for the cooking and keep my camera equipment up to date. There's always things going wrong, needing replacing. It was simply requiring a new SD card or battery for the camera. I'm going to wish you all a very, very Merry Christmas. I will be back before the new year on my cooking. I hope to bring another recap video for you shortly. Hopefully for next Saturday, as long as I can get it all together. Internet here is not very good. And I'm hoping to go to my parents for Christmas, all things being equal. It just leaves me to say, thank you very much for watching. Trevor out.